In this video we're going to take a look at how we move between levels. So in order to understand how we move between levels we need to start looking at rooms. So you can see at the bottom here I currently have 2 rooms, you will only have 1 room. So I want to show you firstly how to add a room. So to add a room you just need to right click on rooms and you want to create a room, and you can see now that I've got room 3 in my list of rooms. So I've got 3 rooms. So you can see that room 3 is blank. Room 1 is my starting room, the one I've been working with. Room 2 is a room that I've already created. Okay, I've done nothing more than just add in some collectible objects and some walls. Okay, so this is the second level of my game. Room 3 is blank, so I will just drag on an object just so as there's something in that room, so as when we use it in the game you'll be able to see that it is actually the room that we've created. Now we can do some things with rooms. So you can see if you look at the screen, you've got a little house next to room 1. That means that this room is the default room. It's the first room that's opened when we start the game. Room 2 and room 3 are not. I can change the order of these rooms and I can change which is the home room. Obviously when we create our game for real, you will be starting your game with a welcome screen that's going to have a series of instructions and a button to click to start the game. So if I just click on the little icon next to rooms by there, okay, you can see it brings up this. I can change the room order by using these arrows at the bottom, so I can move rooms up and down. You can see as the room on the top of that list is the default home room. I can move rooms straight to the bottom. Okay, I can move rooms straight to the top. Okay, so it's up to you which room you set as your default room. So obviously I'm going to choose room 1. I'm going to move that back to the top. We can rename the rooms as well to give them a bit more, to make them a bit more clear, which is what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to rename this room by using the rename tool, and I'm going to say RM, and with small letters, RM underscore level 1. Okay, just so as it becomes clear on what it is I'm doing. I'm going to call this one RM underscore level 2, and I'm going to call this last one RM underscore level 3. Okay, so now we've got the 3 levels of our game so far. So I'm going to close those down because I don't need them open. So we're back to the workspace. Okay, so how do we move them between these rooms? Well, we need, if you go back onto level 1, you'll see that we've got an exit and we've got a key. And currently, if I hit the exit over there, nothing happens, and if I hit the key here, nothing happens because I haven't coded anything to happen. But what we want is to have our player collect the key, and if and only if they have the key, they can move forward to the next level. So if I just run the game just very, very briefly, and I try and collect the key, you can see that nothing happens. And if I go through the game and I hit the exit, nothing will happen there either, so the character just moves behind. So what I want is to be able to collide with the key and to remove the key from the game world, and then I want to have some way of checking to see if I've got the key, and when I hit the exit, move me into level 2. So the first thing that we need to do is to think about, well, how are we going to tell the game that we've got a key? Well, we need to use something called a variable, which we've used before, but this is a special type of variable. This is a global variable that travels between rooms. So if I was to create a variable on my player object, when it goes to the next room, it would reset the value. So that's not what I want. So what I want is a way of telling the game that there's certain variables that last throughout all of my rooms, and they're called global variables, and they can be called in any room. Okay, so we're going to set a global variable, and we've already created a OBJ controller GUI. Now that controller is our game controller pretty much. So if I double click on my controller, you can see that I have a number of things in here. This one draws the GUI, so we did some work with this before, where it drew the lives, the scores, and the health bar. And then we also use this to set the number of lives, the score, the start of the game, and setting the health. So we can also declare what we call a global variable here, and that's what we're going to do now. So if I come over here, if I just type in global, and you can see that this one here is a global variable. If I click and drag it down, I can now set a variable that I can use to identify if I've got a key. So I'm going to call this variable key, okay, or you can call it has key. Let's call it has key, all right. But the important thing is, because it's a global variable, I have to type the word global in front of it. So I'm going to put global dot has key. Okay, so I want to initially set that at 0, because obviously until I collect the key, I don't want to have my variable set as a 1. So a 0 is going to say I haven't got a key, and a 1 is going to say that I have the key. Okay, so I finished with that now. Let's close this down. So let's go on to our main playable character. So on OBJ Player, the first thing that I want to do is to check to see if I'm colliding with the key. And if I'm colliding with the key, I want to destroy it, and I want to change the value of my has key variable to a 1. Okay, so I'm going to add an event. I'm going to check for a collision between my key. Right, if I collide with the key, I want two things to happen. The first thing that I want to happen is I want to destroy the key. So I'm going to destroy the instance, but don't forget we're working on the player object at the moment. So if I destroy the player object, okay, if I don't change this, it's going to destroy my character, and that's not what I want. So I wanted to destroy the other in the collision, which is the key. Okay, and then I want to set the global variable to has key, global.has key, and I want to set that to 1. Okay, so that means now that if I hit the key, it's going to destroy the key, and it's going to change the variable global.has key to a 1, which says to the game that I've picked the key up. Okay, so that's that one dealt with. So let's have a look at another, what happens when we collide with the exit. So I'm going to add another event. I'm going to check for a collision between my exit. Okay, so first thing I want to do now is to check to see if I have the key. So we're going to use a different command that we haven't used before, and that is if. And this is the one you want, the if variable. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag that on. Now this is very much like the assign to command that we used before. So the variable name is global.hasKey, because that's what we want to check. And what we want to do is to check if the global has key is set to 1. So it's equal to 1. So if it is equal to 1, we wanted to do something. We want to go to the next room. So if I just type in here, go to, there we go, go to. So we got go to room, go to next room, go to previous room. We want to go to the next room. If I click and I drag it and I drop it here, that's not what we want, because what's happening here is when I collide with the exit, what's going to happen is it's going to miss this out, because this line signifies that it starts at the top and it goes straight to the next room, so it won't even check to see if I got the key. So that's not what I want. What I want to do, get rid of that, is exactly like we did before, make sure it's on the side of this box. Okay, so we've got that slopey line, and now it'll run through the to check to see if we've got the key or not. So let's see if that works in game. There's going to be an issue which we're going to come across, and I'll just explain how to change that in a second. So let's firstly check to see that we can't get out of this room without the key. So I'm working through the room. Okay, so I can't get out of the room. So let's go and collect the key. So let's collect the key from here. So the key is gone. Hopefully now that's changed the has key variable to a 1. So I should now be able to exit the room, which I can. But I haven't collected the key in this room. So I shouldn't be able to get out of this room, but I can. And the reason why I can is because we haven't reset that variable back to a 0 because it exists between rooms. So what we need to do is to set the global variable, and we're going to set hasKey, global.hasKey back to 0. Okay, so let's see if that works now. So let's run the game. Okay, so let's collect the key first, and let's get rid of some of these if I can hit them. Oh, try again. Okay, so I'm out of this room, so hopefully now it's reset that hasKey to 0, so I shouldn't be able to get out of the room, and I can't. So let's go and collect the key, and now try the exit again, and now I can get out of the room. So that is how you work with variables to move between levels in your game.